Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games from the Game Pass collection, bringing you three unique perspectives of varying skill range. I am the one who wants to be the very best, like no one ever was. Andrew, with me?
Team Rocket blasting off. And also, did you say Game Pass?
I don't know, did I?
I was going to say something,
you did.
but left it.
Whatever. And the one to unite all peoples within our nation, Keith.
Hey.
And our Meowth, Liz.
That's right. Hey, guys.
And this week, since Keith was moving, he decided to pick a game for us. And this week, he picked Monster Hunter. Nope. Monster Sanctuary. That was close enough. It was something with
Monster
Monster
Sanctuary game?
Possibly. I don't know. But Monster Sanctuary is brought to you by Moy Ray Studios. And as you can guess, it is, of course, going to be a 2D platformer, but it's also a 2D platformer Pokemon type-esque game where you are going around collecting monsters and battling your monsters against wild monsters to capture them. So, going around, Keith, this is your pick. Tell us, what did you think of the Monster Sanctuary?
I mean, I bet you can probably imagine, just as it's being a platformer in itself, it's definitely a game for me, but everything about this game, I don't know, it's so fun. I love the idea that it's Metroidvania, it's a turn-based RPG, it's Pokemon-like, it's just awesome. I think it's a really fun game, so I would put it in the definite game category.
Jeez.
I'm going to give it a game, kind of a tentative game. I really enjoyed it at first, but there's a lot of things that I really want to tweak with this game because towards the end, I just was getting really frustrated. So I felt like my enjoyment level just shot down. Well, because I did put so many hours into it and I had fun at the beginning, I'm going to give it a game.
For me, originally, I was actually going to give this a pass. It was just so tedious. But the more I thought about it, I'm going to give it a game due to the fact that there is no Pokemon outside of the Nintendo system. I mean, well, unless you count Pokemon Go or your phone, but I'm not counting that. And so this is essentially a poor man's Pokemon, and it's just, I don't know, it scratches that Pokemon itch that you can't get on Xbox. So, yeah, I guess I'll give it a game. But I'm with Liz.
Guess.
I have some issues. I thought it was pretty repetitive in some areas. But the overall story of Monster Sanctuary, you are what's known as a monster keeper. You are part of one of 4 bloodlines, so you get to pick your starter monster. At the beginning, you have a bird, a frog, a wolf, and a lion. And it's these special monsters. They're known as spectral familiars. They're ancient. They are invulnerable, so they literally have existed through your family, through generation. So it is now your turn to inherit this familiar. And you are essentially trying to become and getting in the ranks of Monster Keeper. And that is the story. Well, at the beginning, which is, to me, was very boring. But in the end, it's also very much like Pokemon.
Yeah,
where you are trying to become the best.
Yeah, that's like what Pokemon's story was. It was just like, all right, here's your starter, and go out and try to be the best, and then it develops into this whole big other thing.
Yep. But I will say, so this very beginning of the story, it's also very light. They don't really teach you any of the characters. Like, everyone you meet is just very passing by. Like, some of the other spectral familiars, when you meet their family members, like, they're kind of main characters, but I couldn't tell you any of their names. I had no interest in them. I thought the dialogue was super dry, but I will say, actually, once you start to get farther in the game, it starts to deliver more lore and history, and I actually thought it was actually relatively interesting.
I thought that the keeper that was kind of a coward and just kind of like ran off sometimes, I feel like they could have made that more funny. I think that would have really lightened it up. But I actually thought that the story was really interesting. And, I mean, that was kind of what was pushing me. Because as you go along, you're finding those little, like, they kind of look like tombstones. But they give you more story. And I actually really liked it.
See, as far as the overall story goes for me, I didn't find it, I guess, overly engaging. Like, as far as what I was chasing down and who the bad people were and all that. But what I did like was all of the lore hidden around the world that you could find. Like you said, the little, stones with the words on them, or, some of the people that you talk to, they'll give you some little background or history of the world and everything. So I liked that aspect of it, but I didn't think the story itself was overly engaging.
See, what I thought was cool is when you find out more of the overall planet universe that you're in, that there's actually an old world and then the Monster Sanctuary world. And there was a war between the old world and the Monster Sanctuary world. And the old world is essentially modern humans where they believe in science and they're trying to progress and come up with new technologies. Well, you live in the Monster Sanctuary world where you work with alchemy and magic and work with the monsters. So I actually like that they kind of had these two diverse worlds that actually coexist together. But then, of course, you have the alchemists that are going around and causing trouble, which they're essentially the Team Rocket. They're going around and trying to capture your spectral familiars, and they're trying to cause trouble and just cause issues.
I just feel like a cutscene at the beginning, or just like a better intro showing all of this,
Yeah.
like the divide. I feel like that would have been really cool.
Yeah, there's no cutscenes or anything, so it is very much just, all right, you're in, have fun.
Yeah, no, overall, I get where you're coming from there. But I don't know, again, it just really fed on being Pokemon to me, and the fact that like it was the same type of thing. And that I know I already said it, but that's what I thought was kind of like, or how you said it. It scratched the itch. It just gave me like that overall feel of what I was playing, and I enjoyed it. So
Was this a small studio?
Yeah.
Because I definitely got that vibe. I feel like if it was bigger and I don't know, I just felt like the game just felt very small.
Yeah, I looked at the credits, and there's like 10 people, tops. It's a very small studio.
I'm really curious, who did you guys pick? Like, what animal? Because, of course, I went with the spectral wolf because I love wolves.
So I went with the Phoenix. I've always thought that's kind of cool.
Ah.
I didn't really think about that, but I liked the naming aspect of it, and I called him Baldy because he's like he's a phoenix, but he's like a bald.
Well, I picked the eagle as well, and I named it Firebird, so
Oh,
that's why I picked it.
so cool.
I
Shut
had
up,
a lot
Keith.
of fun with the naming. Like, for instance, there's a monster that's called Rocky, so I was like, Balboa. Like, I don't know, I just, I started off naming every single one, but then I didn't realize how many monsters you were going to get, and I was just like, I think I just need to hit enter.
There's 101 monsters.
Dings.
Yeah. No, I was doing the same thing, Liz. I wasn't necessarily naming all of them, but if I could come up with what I thought was a fun or funny name, I was pretty much naming them. But then after about 30, 40 of them, I was just like, I don't have time to think about this anymore. I just want to collect you and move on.
Yeah, especially when I'm like, I'm probably not ever going to use you, so I'm just going to name you stupid and just put you in my pile. There you go.
Yeah. Some of my favorites, though, the personal favorites that I came up with was I made the Monkey Brewster. So Baldy was my main there. My koi fish, I called it Koith. So I thought that was pretty funny. I made myself laugh on that one. You know, I'm full of jokes.
A lot of mine, it looked very similar to original Pokemon, so I ended up naming them after the original Pokemon.
Oh, there you go.
Like Balboa looked like Oddish. The Mole Bear literally looked like Sandshrew. So I was
Oh,
like,
I
all
called
right,
that one
there
Man
you
Bear
go.
Pig.
You're definitely more clever with names than I was.
So going on something you just mentioned about like not using some of them, I thought it was really weird that this game wasn't more linear. So Andrew and I, we went opposite directions when we were exploring because you start off in one place, then you can go to like the ancient woods, or you can go to the sun place, the mountains. And so when I got to the sun place, I realized that I was not prepared. They're a lot stronger down there. But the way that I went, like, because there are certain monsters that are good with, like, for instance, like water or fire. I felt like I was getting them at the wrong points. Like, I didn't have the fire when I needed it. So, I don't know. I just thought that, like you said, there were some times where I didn't use it, and then their skill points kind of dropped because I wasn't using them.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I started out, I don't remember which one I started out, but then I got to the Sun Palace. I was having struggle, and then I went back, and I found the water area. And I think you're supposed to go there first because you fight a monster and you get your first token there. So I I don't know. I kind of did a little bit of the same, and eventually was just more or less spreading out. But I feel like I got to a point, at least once you start to get into the ancient woods, because I feel like you had to have a certain amount of levels to get there. Maybe I'm wrong, but once I got to the ancient woods, I was a little more linear, or at least I was on par with everything. It's also
the
very
H.
forgiving. Like you can beat monsters
Oh
usually within
yeah.
about a 3 or 4 range of you, at least most of the time.
The Ancient Woods was one of the first places that I went, and you actually have to get a monster at the river that you can evolve. And so, I mean, for me, like I went to a couple places after, and I didn't find it yet. But they're same with that, like the whole linear aspect, where it's like I wish that had started earlier. Like I didn't end up evolving anything because I hadn't found the river monster. But it just like for me, like that didn't really make sense.
You need the river monster to evolve it. You just needed to go to the tree.
No, they gave me like molding clay.
Yeah, to evolve that specific monster.
Yes.
But you've gotten some other catalysts to evolve a monster. You could have just used those.
What catalyst?
I think you had like a cocoon, like I did.
Oh, see, I know I could do that. I thought I had to do that one first.
Nope. But yeah, so you can evolve some of these monsters, but it wasn't something that was explained. It wasn't until, I mean, I'm 8 hours in the game, and I just found the evolution tree where you can go to evolve your monsters. But you need to find specific catalysts, whether it be like a stone or a cocoon or an ember of something. You consume that to evolve one of your monsters. The thing that kind of stinks overall, now that I'm thinking about it, the thing that I really kind of irritated me with this game is the overall interface. So Liz, you first brought it up when you're trying to equip certain items to certain monsters. It'd be nice to kind of see all your monsters and how it would affect them. Instead, you have to
Yes.
select a monster one at a time
I
and really
complained
kind
about
of
that
see.
to you so many times.
Yeah, and at first I was like, I don't really know what she's talking about. But I was playing more. I was like, yeah, that actually would be really useful. And then when it came to evolving the monsters, it literally shows you all your monsters. So it says, pick a catalyst. So I pick a cocoon. And I wish it would just say, hey, these monsters don't use it. These ones can use it. Instead, I literally had to click through every single monster for it to go, does not work for this monster, does not work for this monster, does not work for this monster. It works for this one, and then you can use it. So it was really poor design for interface on some of the things. But I will say, at least the game is so simple that it doesn't need a crazy explanation and stuff, because there is no tutorial. But I at least was impressed that this game is very simple and really kind of easily displays what things are, that I was able to figure stuff out pretty easily. I was able to figure out, oh, this is a magic attack, this is a physical attack, this is an element attack. Like, it was pretty easy to piece things together.
I think it was easy for me because we've played games like this before. I feel like if I hadn't, I would have been confused. But something that you brought up was that you wish that there was an auto fight because the gameplay got so tedious. And especially, like, I mean, you get eggs for different monsters. I wish that you were able to find more rare or powerful monsters or had special abilities because you sell the ones that you don't want. So I just wish that, like, you didn't know exactly what you were getting. And so I think that, like, that would have made the gameplay more fun as well. Because with, like, when you're just using the same monsters over and over again with the same attacks, it gets tedious.
It does.
That really was probably my own, not only gripe, but one of my bigger gripes with the game is that overall the fighting did just get very bland, and I was just kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Because once you find a set of monsters that works for the area you're in, you kind of just roll with those. But I don't know. I tried to shake things up and kind of level them. I liked that your whole team gained experience really on an equal level. Like, sure, you had all the ones that were in your bag that did nothing, but
That's true.
I also thought it was a nice little touch that they didn't make you switch out your team if you needed to use one of those bag characters for their special skills. So I don't know if Andrew mentioned it and I just wasn't paying attention because that happens a lot. But each of your monsters has some sort of special ability that they use in the actual platforming aspect of it. So the eagle helps you fly to different places or some break walls, but you could just dig into your bag at any point and grab a monster to come out and fight with you to do said task. So I thought that was nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much like Pokemon, where you would need a certain ability to light up the dark cave or to cut that shrub. Exact same thing you do in this game. Depending on the Pokemon you're getting, or sorry, the monster that you're getting, it lets you it alters the actual platforming aspect, like Keith was saying. But also, to explain a little bit more, like what Keith was talking about with the party, you have 6 monsters, just like in Pokemon, that you have like basically on your belt. And all the other monsters you put in your bag. And unlike Pokemon, where you had to go to a computer to change your team, you can change your team anytime, which I thought was really nice. So sometimes I'm like, I'm getting sick of this monster. I haven't used this guy yet. He's now on my bench. Let's pull him out. And it was just really seamless, really quick, no issues. So I do like that this game really gives you the flexibility to kind of really switch things up. And I also liked it let you save your team. So if you have a specific build of like a 16 that you liked, like, oh, this whole team's really good at barriers and they complement each other with their barriers, you can save that team and name it. And if you ever want to pull that team out, you just hit load and it instantly puts them on your bench for you. So I thought it was really nice that they kind of added this feature to kind of quick swap your 6 team. Like nice, quick, and easy. And I was actually really impressed with every monster skill tree. I thought that was really cool. Every monster has a branching skill tree. It shows like, oh, once they're level 10, it unlocks these skills. 20, you can pick these skills. And you can actually pick the ability and branch out the way you want to. And it actually gives a lot of diversity to a lot of the monsters.
Yeah, I thought like some of the ones that you can pick, like having a bleed, or I mean, there were a lot of really cool things that you could choose from. Crap. Brain fart.
Yeah. Well, I'll save you, Liz. I couldn't agree with you more on the whole aspect of it, because it really actually, unlike Pokemon, you're like, oh, great, another Caterpie. I need 150 of those. In this, there was actually a reason to want to collect maybe 2 or 3 of the blobs, and then as you progress into the game, you have the light shifted and dark shifted, which I didn't look it up, but I couldn't see any difference in what it was other than just the way they looked. Am I right on that, or do you know of
What,
something
for
I
the
don't?
blobs?
Well, just in the monsters in general, or I guess
I
maybe.
have not got that far. I haven't seen light shifted or dark shifted.
Well, spoiler alert.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, well, so yeah, there is an aspect of it that they get a different overall look or feel to them, but again, I didn't Google it, and I could just use the internet that's at my disposal, but there was some variation to that, so I felt like at the very least you had a good separation. If you wanted to collect the same monster multiple times, you at least had a different look and you kind of knew what you were building them on. But yep, that's a thing.
I actually remembered what I was going to say about the skill tree.
Oh, girl.
So I really liked that with the monsters. There were some like that. I mean, there were a couple that had poison, but their abilities were very unique still. And so you could have a poison that was water, a poison that was, melee. So I really liked that. I mean, they didn't make them like too samey,
Yeah,
because I really liked my poison guys.
Yeah.
yeah, like some of them had similar skills. Like there was the leafy guy. He had, I don't know, some sort of leaf cut, and it just sent a bunch of leaves. And then the birds had some sort of like a feather one, which basically looked the same with a different color. But I don't know. Overall, everyone had a very different way that it worked. I also liked the way that the damage was laid out. It just made a lot of sense. I felt like when I was looking at as far as what I wanted to do and how it was going to work. They just did a very good job describing the overall abilities.
Yeah, speaking of the damage, this actually brings up a thing I really liked that I thought was really interesting about the combat. So as we're explaining, some of these attacks will have like multiple hits. So it's like, oh, it'll hit 6 times for 75% of your magic damage. And it's kind of a weak attack, but the 6 hits is actually really impressive because when you're hitting monsters multiple times, you have a combo counter. And so you kind of want to have your weaker monsters attack first and build up a combo. And then your last monster you want to have really strong and do one strong attack. And it basically is like an execution. So it was actually this really cool tactile way to kind of plan out your team and to figure things out. I thought it was really interesting because it's something that actually makes this game really unique.
Yeah, so with the blob, he did poison and he did like an acid rain that was really good for breaking down their defense. And so I would use him first and really like weaken him up. And then, I mean, the Tengu guy, he had like this really strong fire burst. And if you look at the skill trees, like you can pick a certain person and be like, I'm definitely going to go with crit with this guy. And so it was actually really easy to kind of manipulate that with your skill tree. Which that kind of want to ask you guys, did you guys have a favorite combo? Because I found myself kind of going back to the same group a lot.
It really varied based on the area I was in, but I did find I had a combination of monsters with my main eagle there, where he had fire and wind that I had him built with, and then I had a monster that did fire, water, and earth, and then one that did earth. Actually, I think I had two that did about the same, but one was magic and one was physical. So I could pretty much just roll out that 3-team set anytime I wanted, and it was more or less effective.
For me, so there was one specific boss fight. I know Liz is going to bring it up, so I'm going to bring it up now. There's a specific boss fight that I kept struggling at and kept dying, but Liz beat it first try.
I forgot about
There
this.
you go. I beat you to it because I knew you were going to call me out on it. But I noticed my main reason is I kept trying to change my team. Like, oh, okay, I'm in the forest. A lot of these forest people are weak against fire or lightning. And so I kind of try to build my team like that. But some of the monsters would be weak because I haven't used them in a while. But I was so, trying so hard to focus on implementing the weaknesses of people that I think I was struggling. So I ended up landing on a go-to team. The mushroom guy, who I named Fun Guy. He, of course, poisoned everyone, the entire enemy team, and had a 50% chance of poisoning people, and it could stack up to 4 times. So I'd always start with that. Then I had the Cat Zerker, who I named Meowth, and he would do one heavy slash and would bleed everyone because he had a 80% crit chance. I had his crit really high. And then I had my Phoenix, who would do a massive laser beam and would just take everyone out. So I can normally beat just about any fight within 2 turns. Even though I wasn't trying on anybody's weaknesses or trying to avoid resistance, just I felt like that combo, doing a lot of damage over time abilities and just blasting someone at the end, it worked for me.
But you told me... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Keith.
Damage over time is absolutely clutch when you're getting into these fights. Because the thing...
Especially boss fights.
Yeah, well, because the thing about the way that the skills work, most games you have buffs and debuffs, and it's okay, this lasts for 2 turns. Every single buff or debuff lasts forever until it's removed. So, in theory, yeah, if you have 3 different monsters who can stack poison, you can just decimate a team really, and that's also kind of what I ended up doing. I mean, I did try to use some of their abilities for some weaknesses if I had a fight, but if I didn't have anything, or if that monster didn't have an earth weakness, but that monster was out there, I was like, I'm just gonna poison the heck out of him. And it'll whittle you down. Also, because I don't know, did you guys use the Amori guy at all? He's like a pikeman, kind of. Little lizard.
Never
pikeman.
saw him.
Oh, he's great because...
Oh, wait, no, I did see him. Yeah, I didn't capture one, though.
He was honestly probably one of my favorite monsters. So all of his attacks were physical, which I had a pretty heavy magic-based team outside of him, so he was good for that aspect to start. But he was the one that had ice, or water, poison, and fire, and all 3 of them are good. So because each one of them, the attack, if he crit with one of his 4 or 5 hits on it, it would stack bleed on them based on a percentage of damage that was dealt to him as well. So
that's what the Cat Zerker did. So it's like the exact same thing as the Cat Zerker.
Okay, yeah, I guess so.
Just this guy had poison.
Yeah, it was pretty. So maybe they had that same skill, but maybe I think it was Toxic Slam is the one he used. But it was pretty awesome. And yeah, so I used him because every one of his skills were so strong that outside of wind, he had something for the weakness, and he would pretty much be a beast. I can't remember what I named him. I had a pretty fun name for him, though, I think.
Was it Geico?
No, but that would have been good.
I also feel like the items really helps too with certain characters. So, for instance, like there was the Nightwing, which I really liked, but it's super weak though. He's like a bat that, like any flame, it's terrible. But you have items that, like 260 plus with health. And so I also like too that you're collecting along the way the Phoenix Tears, which revive your teammates. You can also, like in combat, switch your character, and then when you switch the character that you switch it with is full health. I thought that was awesome.
Really?
That's kind of like a little cheat. Yeah, that's like a little cheat you can do. That definitely came in handy a couple times.
Oh,
yeah, but you can't switch a monster once it goes down. You have to revive it, and then you can switch it.
No, I mean, like, if you're super low health, like, you get, like, 1 hit and you're done, you can switch your character right then and there, and you have a character that's full health.
Yeah, and there's no penalty. Well, you lose
the turn, sure.
One of your characters, yeah. You lose a turn, but that's not bad of a penalty.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I did not know you could do that. One thing, actually, speaking of things that took me a while that I realized, and maybe you did, in the menu, one of the options was
it's like a new segment.
And you would talk to your monster or your little spectral, and you could ask them questions that basically told you what your next thing to do was.
Yeah. Oh no, they gave that. They gave you a tutorial on
Oh,
that.
did they? I don't know. I skipped it.
Yeah, after you beat like the very first champion, he goes, "Oh, if you're ever confused, just talk to me and I can tell you where to
Oh,
go."
I didn't know that. I skipped that then.
But I also felt there was so much to do in different areas that I just kind of did my own thing. Like, but and then like at one point, like in the ancient woods, I needed 2 keys. I only found one. I explored the entire ancient woods, and I was like, well, that sucks. So then I just went somewhere else, and I found a new mission. And I also, that kind of brings me up to something that I want to talk about. And I feel like I got a lot to talk about it with it. Like the maps. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, first of all, they definitely need more teleportation sites. There was one point I was in the ancient woods and I went through the dungeon and it was super annoying because I was trying to find my way out. It turns out that you can't go back that way. So I spent like 15 minutes trying to find an exit. Then I have to do this annoying puzzle. I finally get out, go to the ancient woods, and it drops me down. It showed that there was like a room there. Turns out it was just a tunnel to go back to where I had to do that stupid puzzle before. And there's no teleportation sites anywhere near it. And I was like, you are wasting my freaking time. I got a little angry.
Liz had a lot of gamer rage with this game.
Really, I didn't struggle with
Yeah.
it at all. I mean, I don't want to say at all. I didn't really struggle with it that much, though. I thought I would say it needs more teleportation spots, but I didn't think so, because really, once you had the maps explored and everything, they really weren't that big. I felt like I could travel between them pretty quickly.
But
No, I agree with Liz.
There's
They
a lot of
needed
things you
more.
have to go back for.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you get, I think, 3 things that make it so that you can go back to the main area. But I didn't want to go back for certain things. Like, let me be able to craft where I am or have more traders. There's, I think, a trader in the ancient woods. Have craft tables. Have something. I don't want to go back and forth when you make me going back and forth because, like, oh, you have a new ability. You can go back to this area. It's like, come on. And then also, like, your jump. It's very, like, because, okay, so you have, like, the eagle that can glide you, but it doesn't make you really go higher. And I felt like so many jumps were, like, just at that level that I'm like, can I do this? Or is this, like, I'm just wasting my time? So I also kind of wish that they showed areas that were inaccessible at that time. Because there were a lot of jumps that I was like, I don't know if I can make that. That's being a little bit nitpicky. But the teleportation points, like, I felt like I wasted so much time running around.
Well, so partly to answer your question, there is a good chance that, yeah, you were at a spot where you're supposed to get to, but the birds in particular do evolve and give you an advanced flying, so they can actually fly a little higher. So there's probably a good chance you were at a spot that is accessible, but not quite with a basic bird.
So I agree with Liz. I think there needs to be more teleportation areas because some of the areas are pretty big, but it's just annoying too. You can avoid the monsters because you see them hopping around. As long as you don't touch them, you don't engage a battle with them. But sometimes they're impossible to avoid. And then, of course, you have to go through a whole battle sequence because there's no auto fight or anything like that. So it just kind of gets frustrating. But overall, I did not like the platforming of this game. I thought it was just so boring. I will say I loved how forgiving it was. Yeah, there's some cliffs, there's some spikes, but as soon as you touch them, your character just instantly teleports like back to where you were. So there's no punishment. There's no punishment even if you lose a fight and your monsters all go down. It just spawns you like a few feet away from the fight, and you can either engage that fight again or run away. So I loved how forgiving it was.
I will say, though, that there was one point where I found like a secret room and I had to like double jump over spikes, and it was... I kept dying, and then I got to the chest, and then I was like, crap, now I have to go back.
Nope.
And whenever I died, I went back to where the chest was. And it didn't take me that long, but I was just like, really hope I can do it.
And gamer rage ensued.
Yeah.
You think Celeste would have prepared you for this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do say though, on the same token is, and maybe this is what you're already kind of trying to say, but is that like if you were in one of those sections where there was maybe 4 or 5 different platforms that you had to get through with spikes in between, it almost gave you a little checkpoint at each single one, so you didn't get sent back to the very beginning of the room every time as long as you met certain points. So I thought that was
No, that's true.
very nice from a forgiving, and just overall, this game has no load time. I think
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much instant to load up, and then from that point forward, even when you teleport to somewhere, it's just your screen goes black and comes back up, and you're where you need to be. But I don't I don't know. The one thing I wish it had, because I know what you're saying, Liz, is that it's frustrating. We're like, oh, I know there was an ice orb that I needed to shoot somewhere. Where was that room again? Maybe somewhere down the road that none of us have gotten to, but I would have liked to have unlocked the ability to have like a legend for the map that shows me these little things.
Yeah.
Yeah, like where you left a chest that you couldn't get to, where the other orbs that weren't activated
Yeah.
are. Yeah, I think that would be a great idea.
Even if it was just the chest, because at the very least at that point, I know that I need to go back to that area, whether I know it was because of an ice orb or an earth orb, although you probably could get an idea based on the area that it's in, but just knowing where the chest that I didn't open is would be just so much better.
See, most of my issues are with the map. Like, that was my main thing. But I also think, too, that the creators of the game were also kind of aware of some of the things that we're complaining about. So, for instance, we've been talking about how, like, tedious the fighting is a lot. They did make it faster. Like, you can do 2 times speed.
Yeah.
So I felt like there were little things that they were like, yeah, I kind of see that. That did help, but
To that
I
point,
just wanted more
what
help.
would have been really nice, because a lot of games do this, and it doesn't need to because it's very low graphics, but is for maybe graphics reasons, whatever, they even have sometimes skip animation. Like if you could have just done skip animation and just
Yeah.
hit it,
Like Pokemon does that.
yeah, like that would have saved so much time and made the battles still tedious, but at least not like, ugh, I have to go through this whole sequence. Here we go.
Yeah. But I have a little quick pro tip.
Ooh.
Once you get the double jump, your character should be probably in like the low teens. As Liz said, the game's not really linear and you can kind of explore different areas. I highly recommend after you get double jump to go west of the very first area that you're in. It brings you to the Snowy Mountains, and there's a monster there that literally looks like an ice dinosaur who I named Reptar. But I highly recommend you go and capture that because it has the ability for you to mount it, and it drastically increases your move speed. So as we were saying, yes, it's really annoying to kind of travel through everything, but if you can get that monster, it makes traveling so much easier and more efficient. And you can get them relatively early in the game. You just have to go to that area.
Is that the Arum Tail, I think was what it was?
I believe so. Yeah, I think that's its real name.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple different mounts you can get in the game, but yeah, they all do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, he was the one I got super early, and I don't even think Liz has gotten one because I don't think Liz has even captured that thing yet.
Weird.
No, and I've been to so many different areas, I feel like. But yeah, I just got to the mountains. So for me, I just went the opposite direction.
Interesting. Yeah, I got him, I think, pretty early on, like you said. And yeah, probably in the like 13 to 15 range as far as it goes. But yeah, I mean, you have to, if you really want to like grind out getting the different monsters, it's good to go back to some of these sections if you missed them, obviously, because you have to. But as you're higher and higher level, you go back and there's a star system based on how well you do in the fight. And if you can end it in one turn, you actually get 6 stars, but generally 5 stars if you do the best on it. And the better you do on the stars, the more likely you are to actually get a drop of, say, the egg or just better items. So it makes it a lot easier to go back and farm some of them if you missed them, which for that point, I would say don't stress it if you're not getting the eggs. Don't hang around and try to get them. Just carry on and then go back later. It'll be a lot easier.
Yeah. But the other really tedious thing I wanted to talk about is the music.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys felt about it. It was annoying. To me, at first it was like elevator music. It's there. You can hear it. It's not offensive. It's noise. But after a while, there's like 3 songs in this game.
Well, at one point you noticed that the music changed for me. Like I was fighting what is it called when you have to fight the 6
A
enemies?
champion.
Oh, that is a champion, yeah. So I was fighting one of those and you're like, oh, the music changed. But yeah, besides that, like when you're fighting, I don't know, it does kind of grate on your nerves. If you're playing it for multiple hours. So if I just play for like an hour, like it doesn't bother me, but
there's honestly zero reason to have music or sound effects in this game. So this is definitely a game you can listen, another soundtrack, a podcast, something. You don't have to listen to it. There's no voice acting. It's just a lot of horns booping and bopping for the music, and that's kind of about it.
Oh, I wanted to, so sorry to go back. And
You have
another
another
thing.
thing?
Nice.
So when you come across the enemies, like I think that in Operencia, like you got to go first, or they already had damage or something. I wish I had that because I'd go in and like swing at them, but it was not, nothing happened. So I wish it either changed like your turn, or if you like inflicted damage. I feel like that would have been cool.
Honestly, I didn't wish that.
Oh.
Because like it kind of annoyed me in Operencia sometimes too, because it's like I see this monster, but I have to like annoyingly wait for it to like turn around for me to touch its back, and it just added these times where you just had to sit there and wait for an opportunity to do a thing to get the advantage.
Or even if it was just like hit them first. I don't know. Whenever I snuck up on them.
Well, you always got to attack first, regardless.
Yeah, I do like that when you're fighting champions, if you go first, which I think it's random, you only get to do 2 of your 3 characters. So if you don't go first, you know.
Oh, this actually brings up another thing I really wanted to praise this game for. It actually is online battles, so you can actually battle your friends.
Yeah, we should have done that.
That's actually really cool. Yeah, I don't know if I was a high enough rank. I think you needed to be like the second highest rank, so you needed to be near the end of beating the game.
Yeah.
But I think that's really cool. This is a really small studio, and they were actually able to incorporate a online multiplayer aspect to it, which I think that's really impressive.
Agreed.
In the way that you can really change the skill trees, it actually makes something really interesting, and you can really see the diversity of like your friends' teams compared to yours. But yeah, we'll have to do a battle sometime.
Heck yeah. I am so in.
But then of course this game had graphics.
Yeah.
That's about
It's
it.
kind of like the music. One thing I don't think I got to mention about the music, I don't think I said anything about the music. You guys just said you hated it, and that was about it. And I don't fully
No, Liz changed the subject.
Well, anywho, all I'm saying is I don't really have much to say because you're pretty much right. One thing it seemed like if anything, it just took the same song and just tweaked it slightly. Like you'd be like, oh, you're in the snowy mountains now. Let's make it sound a little bit higher pitched, or you're underwater. Ooh, it's a little bit muffled. But it was basically always the same song, I'm pretty sure.
I think so too.
So that's where it's weird because it didn't actually at any point bother me, but I totally agree with what you're saying about it. So yeah, that's my take on it. Carry on.
But yeah, but speaking of like the snowy mountains and stuff, this is kind of my biggest complaint when it comes to the graphics. There's all these different biomes, but they all felt the same. They all, like, yes, they look different. Like, ooh, there's grass on the ground here, but you're all still jumping on the same very narrow platforms. You're
breaking
still avoiding
walls down the same way.
Yeah, avoiding the same spikes. Like, there wasn't anything unique or different about any of these environments.
And I also feel like, I feel like a lot of small studios, like, I don't do this, but, like, if you're going to have, like, the super pixelated kind of graphics, I really wish there were some nice cutscenes. I understand like budgets and small games and stuff, but whenever like I see graphics like this, I'm just like, I kind of wish that they did something a bit more.
Yeah. I mean, like, because even when it came to the story, like even just to have like an actual story, small thing, there was very little.
I do think that like, I mean, because that sounded kind of negative. I do love like all the different monster and character models. Like I actually did like the graphics.
I will say, I do think, I agree with you, Liz. I actually liked the monsters. Some of them very much did look like some Pokemon, but I mean, that's fine. But I actually enjoyed the monsters because the newer generations of Pokemon, I don't care for. Because to me, they seem so lazy. Like, oh, it's an ice cream Pokemon. It's a cloud Pokemon. And it's like, wow, this is really lazy. But this one, they're very unique. Usually you still got your relatively generic blobs, cat humanoid creatures, minotaurs. Like you got some generic stuff in there, but I thought they did a good job kind of creating some unique stuff.
Yeah, I think overall I generally tended to like them. I actually really liked when you went and looked at like the glossary. There you go, your Pokedex, if you will. Like
Monster Journal.
It had a much more detailed image of it. Obviously, it wasn't like, ooh, this is 4K gorgeous graphics, but I did like the additional detail that you got to see, and then when you looked at them from there. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, it's nothing impressive. And I was trying to think of like any points where there was anything you did really different, and no. I think at most it was like the snow, like, ooh, this platform is going to break underneath you. And then there was one, it was like they're even more narrow. It's just 1 block instead of 3 blocks.
Yeah.
That was about it. It was spikes that would kill you and platforms.
That's what I mean. I thought the platform was very boring. And the puzzles also, too, I thought were very boring, too.
Yeah, I would have liked if there was just like they incorporated a little bit more of the monsters beyond just orbs, and it wasn't just like flying or swimming. Like maybe there was a
Yeah.
dig or something like that. I think just even that would have made it more fun. Achievements.
Achievements. So this is also a game I would not recommend for achievement hunters. The achievements in it are pretty generic, but the overall game to play for the main story, it'll take you about 28 hours. And for completionist, from what I saw, it was categorized at 62 hours. I don't know if that's true. I would probably say it's probably like 32 because there's not that many collectibles or anything like that. But yeah, so you're looking at an average of about 28 hours just to play the game. And the odd achievements are, getting certain ranks, collecting certain monsters, getting a 5-star win rating, just very kind of basic stuff. There wasn't anything too fun or unique. Some are collecting kind of a rare monster, but it's all just something mostly achievements you're just going to be getting from playing the game. And it's going to take you about 28 hours. So I wouldn't recommend it for achievement hunters, but it's unfortunately nothing too great.
I feel like our scores kind of reflect our love of the game. Keith was number 1 with 245. Good job, Keith. Get a round of applause.
Andrew's just
Yeah,
losing
there you
achievements
go.
all over the place. Lost the month of January.
Shut up.
Lost this game to me. Lose, lose, lose. Carry on.
Yeah, you came in with 135. But you're not the biggest loser tonight, Andrew. I came in at 105.
Well, Liz, you're with us every episode.
Yeah, so achievements overall, they're there. Not great. So getting into our final thoughts. I'll go first with this one, Keith. I'll let you wait.
Okay, I'll save for last.
As I said with Monster Sanctuary, it's not bad. It's definitely kind of a poor man's Pokemon, which isn't a bad thing. If you definitely want something, if you want to get that RPG element, the turn-based, and you're collecting monsters, battling them, battle your friends, it does a solid job. The combat gets a little tedious, but overall, I like the design of the monsters. This overall story was okay. I like the lore, but I wasn't too engaged with the characters. The platforming I thought was so boring, and the music I thought was boring. So for me, I'm going to give it a solid 70. I didn't hate my time playing it, but I don't know if I'll go back and finish it.
Liz, you go. I'm saving me for last on this one.
Oh, because Keith wants to give this game 100.
150.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, crap, I already said it.
I was actually just looking at the picture, and I was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of Banner Saga.
Uh-huh.
The cover?
Not at all.
Well,
Am I thinking of a different game then?
Maybe, but I don't think it looks like Banner
Celeste.
Saga. You know Banner Saga was like Vikings, right?
Yeah. Just the art style. Okay. Anyway, you can cut
and
that out.
another thing.
Hearing your low score makes me want to like dip mine lower. Because I was gonna say 78, but now I'm thinking 77.
Whoa, Liz, hold
Whoa.
the
I
phone.
hold point. And yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 77. Because you know what it is? I felt bad about it. But I'm like, whoa, Andrew's going hard on this game. I can just, So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 77. I think it's a great base of a game. I just want more. I want the cutscenes. I want more teleportation areas. I got really frustrated at certain points, and I felt like it was unnecessary. And so there's so many things I want to tweak with it, but I think it's a solid game. Just need way more, way more. So good base, yeah.
So, I've obviously really had nothing bad to say about the game. I think we all know where I stand on that. It's still definitely a game.
I feel like I convinced you on the platforming.
Can you let me finish? I'm doing my thing here. So,
You interrupt me all episode.
yeah, but
I can interrupt.
no, I guess. Anywho's, so I think it's a fantastic game. I think the biggest thing is what you've already said is that it's a Pokemon on my Xbox. The thing that keeps me from wanting to give this a high score is the battles are a bit tedious, but they're very accessible and easy enough that it's never really frustrating. So it's relaxing to play. And yeah, the traversal could be way more fun. It could be better on the platforming, so that takes away for me. Music, I won't even hold it back on because turn it off. It's fine. But overall, I want to go back and play it. I certainly won't play it as often now because, I got other things to do now. But I want to go back. I want to finish the game. I want to keep collecting all these new monsters and see what it is, because the phrase of the episode, it scratches the itch. So this game is definitely an 80 is what I'm gonna land on as final score.
I'm surprised I'm the one who I liked it the least
Do
because
you know what?
I loved Pokemon.
I
I mean, I
And
still
I
kind of
feel
do.
like-
Pokemon was the first video game I ever bought with my own money. I saved up money and I got a Game Boy Color and I got Pokemon Yellow.
Wow, it's a big boy game.
Yeah, but I loved that.
I feel like we're going back to when you used to like gush on a game and be like 70. And you're like talking about how great this game, and you even said fantastic the way that Andrew does, like the infliction and stuff, like a fantastic game. And I was like, oh my gosh, you sound like Andrew right now.
Yeah, but when I normally do it, I still give a game like a 90.
No, I mean I this would be if because the traversal really you're right, you did sell me on this. It just wasn't that fun. And I think they could have, with the monster skills, just had a lot more fun with it. But that's really the only reason it's not, honestly, maybe a runner-up for my game of the year, because it's definitely we've got a lot of games to go here. I'm gonna play something that I like
Oh,
way
yeah.
more than this. But it's at least, I can tell you right now, it's gonna at least go into the category of potential options. I'm that confident on it.
Well, looking at Metacritic, there were only 3 written reviews as far as this episode.
Oh
A 70, an 80, and a 4.
man.
So I'm going to read 2 of them to you.
I feel like he's gonna go on there and write one. No.
Well, I'm wondering,
Probably.
do
Best
we
game
need
ever,
to like
80.
have some sort of criteria? Like, do I need to submit my credentials to be an official Metacritic reviewer?
I have no idea.
Look into that.
You look into it. You're the one who wants to do it. Why would I look into it for you?
Be a user and like make your name like one off of our 4th co-host.
Just
Oh
to
yeah,
mess
no,
with you?
no. Call yourself his name Junior.
Yeah.
Copy his name and write Junior.
But I'm gonna rank every game 100 at that point. Anywho, we interrupted
But
you,
looking
Liz.
at it's all good. Looking at the critic who gave it a 70, despite its cute visuals and some great moments of exploring the game's world, Monster Sanctuary on Xbox feels relatively hollow. There is plenty of content to keep the most dedicated of mini-maxing enthusiasts busy, especially if one ventures into online battles against others. But the game owes too much of its identity to the past. If it leaned more into the unique Metrovania ideas, had a more interesting story, and felt less like homework, Monster Sanctuary would have been something truly special. And then the person who gave it a 4, it's basically a mash of Pokemon and Metrovania. Not a bad thing. I enjoy both types of games. And then he brought
You
up...
gave it a 4?
Well, I mean, he brought up, like, the 2-speed and stuff, but... Should I just read what you wrote? It starts off strong, quite enjoyable. The battles are slow, and the devs even knew this by putting an option to speed up battles in the options. Exploration okay, but nothing new. I like the aspect of collecting monsters to fight your battles, but the boss battles are slow, even on ×2 speed. Elemental weaknesses don't appear to work in your favor, as you do little damage anyway. Boss characters can attack more than once in a turn, and they hit hard, and ultimately what lets the game down. 4 out of 10 seems fair, as there is a bit that needs fixing, mainly the boss battles and balancing. I would say try it for yourself, as it is free on Game Pass, but pay cash to play it? No. I was getting nervous. I feel like I'm extra stuttery today. That was hard.
But yeah, so there you have it. I think you guys, overall, it sounds like you should at least check it out. Check out Monster Sanctuary.
Let us know on Twitter.
Yeah.
Who you agree with.
Yeah.
But if you have a game recommendation for us, you can email us at gamepassgrabbag@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook, Game Pass Grab Bag, where we also have a PayPal set up if you feel so inclined to support us. I've been your Hardcore Gamer host, Andrew. You can find me on Xbox Live at Firebird01952. I'm also with Twitch with the same name. And if you ever want to come see my stream, I at least highly recommend you follow our Twitter at GPGBpod, because I normally at least post there when I'm streaming. It's hard for me to keep a consistent schedule, but if you at least follow our Twitter, you can see when I'm up. So come on by and say hi.
The only reason it's hard for him to keep up with the consistent schedule is because he's just lazy. That's all there is to it. But I've been Keith,
No.
and I'm gonna throw the Twitter handle today. with KLynch121 because I updated my URL because I still had Mixer in there. Now it's twitch.tv/Lil Fluffy, but that's LILFLUH.
Lil Fluffy.
Fluffy. Yeah. Oh, and then FFY after the H because that's part of Fluffy. So that's on there. I don't actually really ever stream other than maybe once a week a football game for a fun little league
our
we're doing.
fantasy Madden league.
So if you want to watch me play Madden maybe once a week, follow me.
Or watch me. I'm really bad. It's
Oh, Andrew,
I'm
don't sell
excited to
yourself
see you
short.
play the new season of Apex.
I've been loving the new season of Apex.
But I'm Liz Noob, gamertag CommonUmD. I'm on Twitter at LizNoobNoobIsEW, and I do not stream. So if you go there, don't expect that, or you'll be disappointed.
I think a lot of people would love to watch you stream. I would love to watch you stream. But I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Our audio is going to be a little bit different. Hopefully it doesn't come out horrible. If you guys like it, please let us know. If you hate it, also please let us
I
know.
feel like I love that you're putting
We
this at
still
the
have an old
end
mic.
where nobody's going to be listening anymore.
Yeah, we should put it.
I don't know.
You should give a fair maybe listen back on
like
it
seven
and then
people.
give people a disclosure at the beginning.
Someone's gonna give us a terrible review because they didn't wait.
Please listen to other episodes.
All right, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll see you again next week.
Hey guys.
Bye.